ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming to our panel here. This is our second time, as far as polysexy and cool is concerned, of coming to present a panel. Last year we talked about non-monogamy, E&M, and its connection to blerdism. Now we're talking about Kink 101.
And its connection to blerdism. So if you remember, if you were here last year, I kept saying this was not your Kink 101 course. Today it is. Hi, my name is Senpai Gaki and I am your bratty goddess extraordinaire. I identify as a bratty goddess. I used to be a dom leaning switch and then I got in a relationship. Now I'm a little bit more of a submissive leaning switch, but that's it.
Say a little bit close to the microphone.
Anyway, I've been in BDSM for almost 10 years now. Yeah, 2015, this is 2024, 9 years. Primarily as a pro-dom or pro-dominatrix, and a brat. Who I am.
Hey everybody, I'm Persian. I've been a Kink for 6 years. I identify as a submissive, a little, primarily a brat, also a kid. I'm excited to be here. This is my first time at BlerDCon, so hey.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am known as Sir Hito. Hito, in just regular context, served during the scenes. Been involved in BDSM and Kink for about a decade now. Been involved in some pro-dominant shit for like the last 2 years now. Just end up jumping in because my homegirl led me to a certain website that starts with the letter F. It is not an NN book. And yeah, I just pretty much identify as a dominant. I top in most situations. I do bottom in terms of like educational purposes, not out of enjoyment, but because I want you to do shit correctly. And I do have a bit of a sadistic streak. When we talk about these terms during the panel, we're going to find out.
A bit of a sadistic streak.
A bit!
All right, I have one ground rule. This is pretty much the same ground rule, is that this is an open and affirming space. We are respectful of all identities. We are respectful of all gender identities and sexual orientations and things that other people may not be into. All voices and ideas are heard, and if you can't get with that, you can get out. I'm not going to beg you to stay. You can leave. The doors to the church are always open.
I mean, we're only doing this for a badge, so.
Right.
I'm like, hey, here's $5,000 to deal with bigotry, so no. And also to the people concerned about what's up here, just know we're going to talk about everything that shows up, so you're not going to miss anything in regards to what may pop over here.
I can also make this available afterwards. All right. I'm a former educator and this didn't have an agenda at first and it was driving me crazy and now it does. So we are going to talk about where kink and blerd culture collide. That's the first thing that we're going to talk about. Then we're going to give you a crash course on all words mean things. This is where you pay the most attention because this is where the most education is going to come. Because words mean things. And then it's what y'all came for, the demos. And then afterwards, we'll take questions and answers. So.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and talk about kink and blerd culture. As you can see here, when it comes to kink and blerd culture, what we have up here, pretty much, kink and BDSM are not sex focused. They are honestly about building experiences, leaning into sensation and pleasure and desires. The sex is a plus that happens sometimes. So what we're talking about here is, of course, you hear kink, you hear BDSM, you're thinking about someone being tied up, hog-tied while having their ass probed by some kind of dildo. Sure, that can happen. Sure, that does happen. But the overall purposes of these situations is about the experience. All right, and to add on top of that, whenever you go into explore these kind of things, you're never going in just because for the hell of it. More times than not, you're like, I wonder how that feels, or I wonder what that person's thinking about. That typically happens. That's the reason why we're here. Like, no one just walked in and saw like a picture of Sailor Moon and thought, I guess I just go ahead and do it for why not. No, you're gonna see like, what's going on here? You go experience it, and then you find out whether you like it or not.
So I have a saying, it's a new saying, that I have not met a Kinkster who's not a blerd. There might be a blerd who's not into kink, but every black person in the kink space that I have encountered is also a blerd. And so my theory, and this is how like we got here to begin with, my theory is that the Venn diagram is really a circle. And there's a reason behind it, and it's because there are like these kink influences in anime, and it's like a kink aspect to cosplay, and the fact that a lot of us, I'll speak for me, the fact that I was drawn to these things that were anti-black almost, and I use that in quotations because it's not. And so once you're into one weird thing and people and all the kids in your neighborhood call it white people shit, you might as well try the other shit. Like you already talked about me and you already say I'm a white girl. So that white girl is tied to a cross and she looks like she's having a ball. I want to see what that's about.
And to even touch on what she just said in regards to kink and anime, as we have up here, yes, I'm sure that 99.9999999 asterisks of us know what hentai is. So yes, there's hentai, but there's also a lot of kink references that happen in general anime that they have available for teens and children. Some of these include Food Wars. Nanami and Jujutsu Kaisen.
I got my hair pulled by Nanami twice.
Also, a recently new anime called Gushing Over Magical Girls. Yes! But yes, in your standard anime, whether it be ecchi, whether it be regular adventurous, like there are multiple just standard anime that would hold like just references to kink. Find me an anime with a spider-esque woman that does not do shibari.
I'm going to I'm put my lover on the spot. Because he was watching Demon Slayer, and he was ahead of me, and this is in the Pleasure District arc, and he was like, ooh, when
Spoiler alert.
it's not a spoiler.
Shouldn't be a spoiler.
I haven't watched Demon Slayer yet.
Oh my gosh, it's not that much of a spoiler, but now I can't think of Nezuko. How the fuck? When Nezuko ends up like pushing this girl's face down in the dirt, and she still like got her gag and stuff in. He was like, "Oh yeah, no, I get hentai now. I totally get hentai now. Like that shit was hot." And I hadn't seen it, and then I saw it, and I was like, "That shit was kind of hot."
All right, and the last aspect we have here is kink and cosplay, as plenty of us are dressed to the nines for this festive event. And of course, there's some leanings in regards to exhibitionism and voyeurism. Because you'll have some individuals scantily clad, you'll have some well-known people that know how to zhuzh up certain anime characters that we know, whether it be our favorite Sailor Scout, or even our favorite doughy-eyed Demon Slayer.
All right, so here's some anime kink references.
Yeah. Oh look, it's Nanami. It's crazy, dog.
Because yes, as you can see here, we have Monster Man. This one literally should be just like NC-17 and thing is what we have here, because that's borderline hentai. Mission Over Magical Girls. We're dealing with a lot of sadistic shit, some exhibitionists, but it's all really covered and not too bad. We got old boy over here in Jujutsu Kaisen with that ponytail wraps. We have a whole humiliation, degradation anime that became popular, known as Prison School.
Prison School.
Thank you. Those are high school.
Oh, y'all know Prison School?
Yes.
I want to see y'all later. I found
You found your people.
I found my
Miss, what's her name? Miss Midnight from.
Yes, that is.
I mean, literally, she is a.
Her weapon's a flogger, bro.
It bullwhip, but still. But yeah, and then the sleeper of them all, Horimiya.
Yes.
It's a standard slice of life, but there's a point where she lets get smacked around a little bit, get a little enticed.
All right. So remember that part where I was like, this is the part that you need to pay attention? This is the part that you need to pay attention. There's a test later.
All right, now, and the reason why we say this, I don't even want to call it the boring part. It is the most important part because the reason why we're able to do these things, to stay out of prison and stay out of the grave, is because we actually pay attention to this section.
It's foundational. Lady Aspen told me that.
Yeah, Lady Aspen was correct because it is
It's
foundational.
foundational, not boring.
All right, let's go ahead and give a rundown because these two already know. I want to get to the demo parts because I'm in charge of the demo. Which one? Which one? It's going to be there.
It's not there. It's
no.
gone. It was your job.
Can't make your job. I mean, you
It's
can make your
okay.
I mean, you can make it, but
Don't worry. It was a picture in regards like, are we going to talk about BDSM, bagels, donuts, scones, muffins? Look, I baked too. That's the reason why she still hangs around with me. But no, let's actually get into the nitty gritty of what we're discussing. Your turn to participate. Don't worry.
Sorry.
I knew.
Listen, I tell you, I'm gonna be very honest with you. It is my first time at BlerDCon. I told them, I was like, I don't know if I'm nerdy enough for this, but he was like, no, you get very interested in very specific things, and this happens to be one of them. So, the first thing you need to know is what the heck is BDSM. So, it's an acronym. It stands for bondage, degradation. Like,
Look.
give me all the words.
I got the memory. Oh, who knows it? Who knows it? All right, close.
Domination, submission, sadism, masochism.
There we go. So yes,
It's a pow pow.
BDSM is definitely a compounded acronym, so it does get a little tricky. It's a compounded acronym for the three various aspects when it comes to this. You got bondage and discipline. Essentially, you're being bound as well as following instructions. Domination and submission, that is where you hear about various dynamics like dom sub, rigor, not
bunny. Just bunny.
Rope
Not
bunny.
snow bunny.
bunny. And then sadomasochism, also known as sadism and masochism, which is about pain and giving pain and receiving pain.
Thanks. So our next terms are kink and fetish, which I'm kind of going to put together because when we're talking about kinks, we're talking about things that people find pleasure in doing. Kinks aren't always sexual, but fetishes are things that people need to get off when they're involved in sexual things. So there's often a miscommunication about like what's a kink, what's a fetish, and the easiest way to think about it is, do I need this to get off, or do I just enjoy doing it? And it takes a reworking of how you think about what is pleasure, because the first thing a lot of people think about with pleasure is sex. But when we get into BDSM, we start thinking about pleasure as these are the things that bring me joy. These are the things that really get my endorphins going. These are things that excite me, and those are your kinks.
All right, I'll go ahead and take over from here. Thank you for joining us, Persian. All right, now in regards to the next three, they are kind of in the family of each other, which is top, bottom, and switch.
Switch life?
Now, in regards to this, I do like to point out, because you gotta give respect to where this comes from. These are taken from, honestly, the queer community, the LGBTQ community. They have been a part of this kind of alternative lifestyle from the get-go, mainly because they had to do things in the shadows because of judgment and persecution from the unnecessarily religious folks. So when we talk about top, bottom, and switch, they typically use the same term, except instead of switch, they use the term verse. In our line of work, we typically use switch to communicate that we can top for a scene or for a dynamic, as well as or bottom for a dynamic given the person. Because you see her, she's not gonna bottom for someone that ain't got the credentials to be a top.
I feel very, very exposed. I cannot bottom. So yes, he's come from like the LGBTQIA plus community. I do want to put a little more context into it when we're talking about BDSM and scening in particular. The top is the person who is in charge of the scene.
I got you.
Okay.
From the top.
Say hello to our brandy goddess.
Hi.
Okay, now, the top is the person that is given the control from the bottom. They are the ones that are trusted with having the knowledge as well as the expertise to perform what the bottom is requesting of them. The bottom is the person that is willingly giving control to the top in order to perform whatever it is that they wish to experience, while having knowledge of what the scene is, what they are giving control to, and always have the power to take control back, no matter any kind of situation. At any time, they can literally just say, pineapples, waffles, I'm done. They have, they're the ones that actually kind of like dictate what the scene will be. And the switch is the person that can alter within the two. They can either top for a bottom or bottom for a top. And don't ask me what it's like for two switches to be in a room together, because
It's fun.
They're fucking matchable.
You can also top from the bottom.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
We call that power bottoming in the queer community.
Yes.
What about soft tops?
Soft topping is also great.
we do have soft tops. We have, like again, all right, this is a 101 course,
Right, I was like, again, this is our introduction 101 course.
because look, you should have saw the paper I had before we plugged it down, because I do want to get to the demos, but we're still going to cover all the necessary foundational things that we need.
You should have saw the paper he had before.
I'm thorough.
If nothing else.
All right, this is
This
my
is
favorite.
the most important part. This
This,
is the very most important part.
yes, we are talking about consent. This is my favorite because it gives me the territory that I can dance in. I am a dominant, I am a top. I can only go in the boundaries that are given. I go outside the boundaries, I'm no longer a top, I am an abusive person.
Say it again, because there's some people who missed it, I'm sure.
One more time. I am a dominant, I am a top. I love this topic because this is my domain. You're giving me the boundaries, you're giving me the country in which I can walk and dance in. Because the moment I go out those boundaries, I am no longer a top, I'm no longer a dominant, I am an abuser. So, this is the reason why I find this to be very important. Now, please understand, we are all human. Consent violations will happen. Most consent violations are not due to ill intent, but to ignorance. So, it is okay if you violate consent. It becomes wrong when you don't make things right. Now, what we have here are a list of acronyms that have progressed through the years, from the 80s up until today. Wow, I'm using them a lot.
It's cool.
It's fine.
Okay. Now, what we have here is SSC, rack, prick, fries, tick. These are just simply consent models in order to help people understand ways that they have power within consent. The first one, which was in our research we found, was established around the 80s. Now again, understand, Kink BDSM has been around since the early ages. Check out the Iron Maidens and the weird doohickeys the medieval times we're using. But SSC BLC was established around the 80s, known as safe, sane, consensual. The overall arcing idea is that you perform your scenes safely, you make sure that you're in the right headspace in order to perform these things, and that consent is given all around for these things to happen. Now, it sounds nice, but it needed to evolve because it was too big of an umbrella. It was too all-encompassing. So, around the 90s, the concept of RAC was created, which is risk-aware consensual kink. With that one, that kind of dictates that the person in charge of the scene, the top or the dominant, should be aware of all the risk involved in the scene, as well as share that with the bottom in regards to what all will be occurring within a given scene. A decade after that, some groups found that RAC wasn't enough because it put too much onus on one side of the one side of the dynamic, and so PRIC was established, which is personal responsibility informed consensual kink, which means that each individual must have full information about what they're about to get into before they get into it, before it can be considered consensual. Now, we get into the 10s, and look, all I know is Planned Parenthood, they always gonna get like some kind of donation from me because they're the ones that established the concept of fries. They've been doing good work for God knows how long. Make sure y'all get tested, you know. And they came up with the concept of fries, which is freely given. Yes, there's no G, it's just one word, okay? Well, freely given, reversible, informed, enthusiastic, specific. So, the reason why they get a little bit deeper with that is because consent can be freely given. You cannot coerce somebody. You can't force somebody. You can't Steve Urkel them to death in order to give them, like, for them to give you something.
That's too horny.
And then freely given reversible, that means you can take the consent. I can say yes and then 10 seconds later say no. She could have said yes, I want to do this panel, and then a month later, no. Same with her. Even though she would look me in the eye and be like, okay, I'm sorry, I'll go.
Okay, relax.
Informed, that goes back to the idea that everyone must know what's going on. If I am saying I am doing impact, and if I'm saying I'm doing impact on you, cool, that's all I'm doing. Nothing else will be thrown in. There won't be any kind of knife play, pinwheel, fire, no, we're doing impact. But also what ties with informed is I need to know your overall condition to see if you're even able to perform said scene, because both parties need to be informed. If you just had a knee surgery, how am I gonna have you bent over on your knees on a freshly replaced knee doing an impact scene? Like, both parties need to be informed and understand what's going on. Enthusiastic, which is a little dicey, like, when we say enthusiastic, we don't mean with gusto. We don't mean, haha, yes. It's just more so like there is a firm and it's an unwavering yes. And it's specific, exactly what you're consenting to. And lastly, the more newer one, which is still, which has been recently created, which is TIC, Trauma-Informed Consensual Kink. It was primarily developed around the Black community because being Black in these kind of spaces where you have the terms master and slave, you have whips and floggers, you have a lot of things that may bring up something generational or something from last Tuesday.
Right.
That's a lot.
Yeah, the point of this one is more so that as you perform your scenes in regards to whatever kinky scene there may be, you do also be mindful of possible traumatic events that may have occurred, will occur, or it's just something to be mindful of. Like one of our, I'll bring it up when we get to those dynamic terms about something that we play around with instead of using the word slave.
Something else I want to bring up around consent, and the very first thing you need to know is that every single person is responsible for understanding what consent means to them. Sometimes people go into spaces and they're like, well, you're the top, or like, you're the dom, you're supposed to be responsible for the situation. That's simply not true. I'll tell you right now, the submissive actually has all the power in these situations. But you can both commit a consent violation. As a submissive, if you don't tell somebody that something is wrong with you, if you don't tell somebody that you have these traumas and something happens, you're violating that top or that dom's consent. And the same goes both ways. ways for the top or dom. I think it's forgotten a lot of time that submissives can also violate consent because tops and doms have all the responsibility put on them. So I think before you go into kink, you need to understand like why are you getting into it, where are these kinks coming from, and then sometimes you can get into kink to address a trauma. I also recommend going to a therapist. Do not just jump into kink. That's probably a trauma. But you need to tell people that this is why you're getting into this kink so they can work with you on that. And you also need to understand that they're allowed to say no. And you cannot be mad at that.
So before we move on from consent, a couple of things, because if Persian didn't say it, I definitely was about to say that consent is on both sides of the slash and it's everyone's responsibility. For little letters or submissives, bottoms in the scene, you have the responsibility of protecting yourself. If no one has given you the number one rule of being a submissive or a little letter, the number one rule is you always protect the package. You are the package. So it is your responsibility to, one, be self-empowered, to advocate for yourself, but also remembering that we can push tops and big letters too outside of their consent. And so that same thing I say to big letters and dominance. Like, if you are uncomfortable with something, speak up. Don't be pushed past your limits. Don't think just because you are supposed to be in charge that your well-being doesn't matter. This is why Switch is life, because I can say that they said close the door.
Some adult shit about that.
I can say that a lot of times the biggest brats are tops, because you won't take care of yourselves. You're so good at taking care of everyone else, and we're not to like the terms of aftercare and stuff, but consent for tops is a thing, and aftercare for tops is a thing, and I need y'all to get it together.
That part for the people in the back.
Say what?
Say it again for people in the back.
That aftercare is for tops?
There you go.
Yeah.
I do want to say about trauma-informed kink. Trauma-informed consensual kink came from Coach Feline. And because I know that, I want to make sure that she gets her due props. It is centered around BIPOC people and the fact that everything Hito just said, like, sometimes you've had a rough Tuesday and you may not want to be in handcuffs.
And here we are with the dynamics. Now, when it comes to dynamics, it really does fall into two categories where you have your top and you have your bottom. We already explained what that is. The person that's giving control, the person giving the control, that is the main difference between the two. Now, what happens, the reason why you have various dynamics is because protocols change with each and every one of these. Now, the one that everyone knows, I'm certain if someone here says they're kinky in their profile, you had some random nigga slip in that's like, oh, I'm a dog.
No, you're not.
They're not. They're not. But because they don't understand what that overall means. It just, when it comes to dom sub dynamics, it really does come down to you have a protocol established with various rules and boundaries discussed between two individuals for a concerted dynamic, which is a mirror of what top bottom is. Except what happens in this point is there are certain punishments that may occur if certain things are not followed. When it comes to master slave, and there goes our little fun word that comes from, what's it, Gorian lore?
Gorian subculture.
Yes, so Kajira. So if you if you want to have the things that, the dynamic that MS dynamic may have, but you don't want to be called an S, Kajira is a nice little fill-in. Those are more of a total power exchange situations where the control given is completely outright. Of course, you negotiate a way for it to end because we are all human, we all have rights. But in regards to this kind of exchange, it is more all-encompassing versus DS dynamic. Rigger Bunny, these are people that love cleaning rope. These are people that love being tied up in rope. You gain enough experience and knowledge, you can even get some people suspended on the ceiling. Caregiver Little, these are your daddies, your mommies, your parents, as well as your little girls, little boys, where there is a level of age play that occurs with this one. Oh, sorry, and middles.
And middles.
And bigs. We all here for y'all. We have our, I thought you were going to remove the table part.
I put it in quotation marks.
All right.
We could do that one last, because is that it? And no, do owner pet, and then let me go on my rant.
Oh, sorry. And then owner pet. The owner pet dynamic is as sound, where you have someone who is the bottom, where they are honestly in their pet stage. It's normally a stage that's based on instincts, based on like overall primal thinking in regards to whatever kind of pet you may be. And the owner is the person that takes care of said pet and whatever needs that you have. Or handler. Yes. All right, go ahead on your rant, Brandy Goddess.
Hi. So the dynamic is known as tamer and brat, but as a brat, and one who brats on both sides of the slash, it is not that I need to be tamed.
Thank you.
Brats don't need to be tamed because I am this way on purpose. I am not wild.
Brats get nothing. Brats deserve
I
nothing.
am not wild. I do not need to be tamed. Now, I might need a little bit of handling, and you have to come with the experience to handle that on both sides of the slab. Like, I'm a bratty goddess, so like if you are my submissive, then you have to understand that there's only my way. And you are here to serve me, and you can get pleasure at my whim.
This is a rant.
This is a rant. It's over. It's over. That's why tamer is in quotation marks, because brats need handling, not taming. People who can step up.
Too long didn't read. If you can tell me what to do, you can tell me what to do.
Yeah. But if you can't tell me what to do, then you shut the fuck up. There's no need to talk to me.
I think I heard somebody ask a question.
Somebody asked what the middle is.
What's a middle? Oh, okay, so when you're talking caregiver little, that's the general term for it, but the middles feel like they aren't getting enough attention. It basically means the age at which you identify. So like I am a little, and when I'm in little space, I can identify as like a 3 or 4-year-old. And the types of things that 3 or 4-year-olds need. Like, I need you to hold my hand, I want to color, I want to watch movies, I can't tie my shoes. And then you have middles who might be like preteens or teenagers. And I'm not going to generalize them, but I feel like a lot of middles who are identifying in the preteen years, they're often people who didn't get to express themselves in a certain way as a child and are now using their middle space to...
Ooh, you being too loud.
This is your moment to express yourself. Okay, be who you are.
Kink is not a substitution for a licensed mental health professional. Yes.
But it's a fun, cheap way to get through it.
It is, but it is not a substitution. Please go therapy.
That way you can, all right, one more and then we'll move on.
Okay. I was gonna say this earlier, but you guys didn't notice me. I used to teach equestrian, and Midnight's whip is a lunge whip.
There we go.
And if you get to go on a rant, I get to go on a rant. Is a submissive brat. I
That's
want to be
better.
punished.
That's not how this works, love. So sorry.
We appreciate you.
All right.
All right, now we go ahead and move on real quick. We have some logistical terms here. When it comes to an overall scene, there are multiple levels to how a scene actually comes together. You want to go ahead and start on this?
Maybe we should do scene first. Well, I'll tell you guys. So a scene is basically when you get into a play space, which is what we mean when you're engaging in some form of kink. A scene is basically what happens from the very beginning, which is your meeting somebody, your negotiations, all the way through the end to aftercare. So we're going to go through all of the parts of a scene, and then that might help us explain more about what happens in a scene. So the first part is vetting. This is your most important part. Vetting is basically your background check. When you go to events, you should vet events, and that basically is like, who is hosting this event? Where is this event hosting? How long have they been doing this? Do they have a history of consent violations? What kind of people attend this event? And I also want to emphasize that when you're talking about going into BDSM spaces, know that there is a BDSM space for everybody, and not every space is for you, and that's okay. Especially as Black people in kink. So that's something you really want to pay attention to, like, is this a safe space for me? And then besides that, when you're vetting people, it's who are you? How do you identify? How long have you been doing this? Who taught you? What do you even know how to do? The same things you would ask somebody you were dating. Like, these are very specific questions, and I think even to go a little deeper, because when we're talking about BDSM, we're talking about a level of trust that many people have never experienced before. Especially as a submissive, you're putting yourself in a very vulnerable space. I mean, doms too, you're also putting yourself in a very vulnerable space. Dom space is a thing. And when you're getting into vulnerable spaces, you need to know who you're engaging with. So vetting is super important, and the number one thing that you should always do. And I know sometimes you're like, damn, I really wanted to play with that person, but if they have consent violations, like maybe not. Anything else y'all want to add about vetting?
It's the easiest way to find out who is real and who is not. It's the easiest way to find out who is real and who is not. If you can't tell me who you... stop distracting me. If you can't tell me who you played with, who can recommend you, and again, vetting happens on both sides of the slash. So when I'm vetting a submissive, I need to know who's the last person who were submissive with. Why did that dynamic end? Has that dynamic ended? What are you looking from this dynamic? There's never enough questions you can ask a person. And one of the biggest red flags that I have seen is when, unfortunately, I get this mostly from cishet men, with I don't have to answer that. If I'm the dominant, I don't answer questions. You can't, then you can go to hell. There is never, if someone can't answer your question, that is a flag on fire, friends. That's not even a red flag. It is a very important step in every aspect of it, and it's something that we don't do and stress enough. Ask people questions.
And I guess to throw on before we continue, in regards to vetting doesn't also have to be a 6-month FBI process. It could be something as simple as you're at a party where there's someone that has this doing scenes, and it's like a quick pickup play where, oh, I'm interested in what just happened, and you actually see them perform what they're doing. Like, that can also be considered a level of vetting, because this isn't a long established dynamic you're doing. This is like, oh, this person's doing wax play, I wonder how that goes. Oh, that actually looks nice, it seems like they know what they're doing. That could also be considered a level of vetting where you're seeking an experience that person may have, and they look competent enough in order to perform it for you. And of course, you can still ask questions before you get started. Because if anything, they in turn will ask you questions to make sure that you are actually able to handle whatever scene may happen.
And then because this is Kink 101, and if y'all, is this your first time engaging in BDSM, and y'all like, but I don't even know anybody, you can now officially say that you've been to a Kink 101 panel with all of us lovely people who have many connections and multiple BDSM spaces.
Boy, please stop.
He knows everybody.
He does. You can now say that you've been to this panel, you learn from us, somebody will know one of us. That's your first step. And if you don't want to, it's what books have you read? What information have you learned, and where did you get it from? And I think that's a pretty good way for people to figure out like who you are. How serious are you about this? Because if you're telling me you want to play with me, but you telling me the only thing you saw was some hentai, and you was like, damn, I know what that whip is like, that's not gonna work. We're not starting with a whip.
Okay.
That's gonna work.
All right, negotiations.
Negotiations. This is when you start talking to people about what you want. And you want to be very specific about the things that you discuss in negotiations. So like Hito brought up earlier, there's things called pick-up play at events. And it's basically where somebody has this one very specific thing that they're doing. For instance, like they'll have a flogger, this person's flogging people all night. So in a pick-up play negotiation, you might go to that person and you say, hey, I'm really interested in what you're doing. And they'll ask like, well, what do you want to do? And they'll ask you questions like, especially for the flogging, like, where can I hit you? Do you have any injuries? Maybe they'll ask you why you're interested in this. Sometimes it's easier to form connections with people if they're asking like where your interest lies, can also be a part of negotiations. In longer dynamics, negotiations might involve like, how long do we want to do this? What is something that will happen that will make us full stop this and recheck in with it? So yeah, negotiations is like very specific. What do you want? How long do you want it? What can I do? What do you want me to do? And what does aftercare look like, which is our next term. So aftercare is the yummy part. It's when the doms make you drink water.
All right. I gotta draw a line somewhere. It is when you're engaged in BDSM. What normally happens if you are doing this in a safe and consensual space, your endorphins and all of the things are going to be very high once the space when the scene ends. Then what? Well, then all of a sudden your adrenaline starts coming down and you feel a certain type of like all of these emotions. Aftercare is what do you need to be a whole person again? So you are in this space where you are outside of yourself, and what do you need to come back to center to be you? Do you need water because you're dehydrated? Do you need a fruit snack because your blood sugar drops? Maybe both. Do you need a hug because there's something that unlocked and you need that comfort? Do you need a scalp massage because it makes you feel better about you and like is one of the places that can draw you back to yourself? And this is not, again, this is not just for little letters. Aftercare is for tops too. Because without trying to get back to center, what you'll end up experiencing is what we call draw. From either subspace where your brain is off and it's fuzzy and it's really nice and all you're just feeling the feels. That's not where we want to stay there forever. It's not possible. And if you don't bring yourself back to center, then you'll start feeling really icky. Top space is very similar in the same way. You have just given, and again, a little bit of rant, you all take care of yourselves. You have just given a lot in a scene. right? If you top the scene, you have had someone's, no lie, you have had someone's like life in your hands. You have been in complete control of both your safety and this person's safety. You have given to them everything that they need, and then most of the time you have also taken care of their aftercare. Then what happens to you?
I drink some water and keep it moving.
No, wrong answer. Absolutely not. No. Yes, you get whatever. But you too might need to eat. You too might need a hug. You too might want to. Actually, most tops that I know, they want to talk about the scene because tops have praise kinks.
Everyone should have a praise kink.
That's true. But like most hyper masculine dominants want to lean into I are. Right? Like
Feed my ego, please. Thank you.
But so yeah, aftercare is very important. I'm very big on aftercare. Like, what do you need to be you? And when people skip aftercare or skimp on aftercare, it actually makes me very upset. Because I'm a caregiving type of person. And if you've given all of this to me, then I in turn need to make sure that you are okay.
Well, all right.
I want to add one more thing about aftercare. Sometimes you require aftercare that somebody is not able to give you. And you cannot run to the masses and be like, this person violated me because they will not give me a hug after a scene. No. We discuss aftercare before scene starts, so if you need a hug or a cuddle and somebody's like, I actually don't like to be touched like that, they can find you somebody else who can give you a hug or a cuddle. So you need to be okay with that. Yes, state what you need. Do not fault on that. Because if a hug is really what brings you back down to earth and somebody says they don't do it, don't then be like, fine, I don't need a hug. Because now you're still floating in space. Find someone who can provide the aftercare that you need.
Yeah, or don't play with that person.
Or don't play with that person.
Weighted blankets and weighted stuffed animals often do really good with I need to feel cuddled. That can also be a really good alternative, but you are absolutely right.
All right, and the last part for this section is check-ins. It just literally is about checking in with one another because what I'm looking for, I won't say consequence, but the after effects of a scene may not appear for another day or two. So it's always good to just check in, make sure the person's okay before you let them fly free like a butterfly.
Yeah. Check-ins are especially important because some people don't, everybody's going to experience drop. The severity of your drop depends on what your aftercare and what your check-in looks like. But sometimes if you spend, especially a prolonged amount of time in a kink space, and then you leave that space, you might not see your drop until a day or two later, and then you're like, why am I crying all the time? And why am I so hungry and like binges? Everybody experiences drop. So sometimes, I know some events where they'll have check-ins as a whole with whoever attended, and you could talk to whoever was there, especially when you're new to kink, and you're like, well, I don't have this person's number that I did pick up play with, but if the organizer has a whole group check-in, then that's your time to say, hey, in reflection to what happened, I think that I didn't really like that, or I really love that. Can you tell me where I can find more people about it? It's also your time to ask for more resources if you experience something for the first time. So check-ins are important.
All right.
There's no more layers. This is just.
This is essentially a negotiation form. We will have a copy available on whatever link that we will do for this one as well. And what this does, it kind of helps break down what a negotiation may look like. If you're new to negotiating, you can't do it off the top of your head. It literally just breaks down what do you want, what do I want, what are we going to do, as well as like places that you can draw where don't touch here and things of that nature. It's kind of like essentially a cheat sheet to negotiation, so you don't have to try to use your brain for remembering all of this.
We had a question.
Oh, we gotta wait to the end because
I forget things easily, so I'm open to answer.
I also think we're the last panel.
We are.
They
She
said-
said we could drag it.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
What's your
Well, then,
question?
Frank, what's your question?
I guess this is like my first time kind of hearing about like aftercare of a top being like a discussion. Like it needs to be like I just always assumed it was like you're supposed to just admire your work. So how do you get to understanding what aftercare looks like with your top?
Honestly, it comes down to figuring out who you are and what you're comfortable with, because the subs, little letters also do that as well. If anything, they're more comfortable with understanding who they are and what they are. And tops need to also recognize that as well. Because as you said it, I know I have a praise king. There is a reason why at the end of scenes, I purposely ask, okay, how was that? How do you feel? Because I know when I do a good job. And actually hear you say, oh, you did great. And that makes me feel amazing, as well as I do like a level of connection. So after scenes, I do ask like, if you're okay with it, I would like a hug after whatever scene that we do. And that's just for me. The touch is a connection. The words kind of give my brain that endorphin like hit to like calm me down a bit. But then I also recognize sometimes I just need to like sit and breathe, and that's what helps me calm down. That may be different for someone else. I know a certain friend that likes to get some food after a scene, you know, just a quick McDonald's pickup, and he's perfectly fine. So,
Whatever. Thank you.
Whataburger. I mean, we're just in Texas. But it's just a matter of discover what it is that brings you calm, because the point of aftercare is to like slow down the drop. So that way you're not going from 100 to 0, it's more like 100, 90, 80, 50, and then after 50, sure, it's not as bad as if it drops from 100.
So, how I learned what I needed as a top in aftercare actually comes from, her name is Lady Freedom, or Lady Freedom, and she took me under her wing, and she was my dom mom for a long time. Start with water and food, because you are dehydrated and hungry, and then start asking yourself questions when you start thinking about what do I need to get back to center, because top space is wicked, because you are wicked in a good way. You are flying on endorphins. You are feeling the fact that you just want to admire your work. You just did this thing for someone, and you got immense pleasure from doing this thing for someone, or to someone. And start with water and food, and then do you need to call your friend? Do you need a hug? Do you feel like you have to start asking yourself those questions? Because, spoiler alert, dom drop sucks. Because little letters don't normally check back in and ask the top if they're okay. Which is why I'm really big on the thing. Okay, last one.
So this isn't really a question, this is just addressing that too. Just also just think about how you feel about societal expectations, right? Because as a top, and especially if you're a sadist, right? And your thing is giving you pain, knowing at the end that you guys are still friends, you and the bottom are still like, we're still cool, you know? So I just beat your ass for an hour, you know? Like, and this is great, because you still love me, yeah. Like, we're still cool, right? Like, we weren't on the playground and I hit you too hard, now it's real, you know, like, you know what I mean? So also just think about that too, you know, so sometimes it's just that check-in of like, I like the praise, but also, you know, what was good about it.
Appreciate that. All right. Now, the last one for this section is safety, because, you know, we want to get into a scene, perform a scene, and everyone gets home in one piece, maybe bruised and battered a little bit, but still one piece. So, from my experience and from the experience I gained from others, these are some primary things that you should be aware of. First one is first aid. It's always good to have a first aid kit. I even brought mine over here, and I'm not even doing nothing too crazy, but it's always good to have just in case something happens. Because again, when you deal with an impact, I can't dictate when the skin might just go ahead and end up ripping because of a certain hit at a certain time. I can't, like, in the knife play, though I'm not a cutter with my knife play, I am more about the sensation, but something might happen where my bottom has a chill and all of a sudden moves in a way suddenly and then they get cut. So it's always good to have a first aid kit available, but also recognize it is better that you have the person alive and hurt versus dead. So call 911 if anything gets too bad. Just go ahead and explain the story honestly so they can their life is more important than your reputation, in my honest opinion. A risk profile. This is something that everyone should do when they engage in anything regarding BDSM, kink, or the otherwise. If anything, everyone should be involved in creating a risk profile for anything in life, because all a risk profile simply is just asking yourself, what's the worst that can happen? You should always ask this question before getting involved in anything, because one of the biggest examples is suspension. In regards to suspension, ask yourself what's the worst that can happen. If you are hovering over by about 3 to 6 inches and that person drops you and you land on your neck, you could die. That is the worst that can happen. That is your risk profile about being suspended. When you ask yourself what's the worst that can happen, you do make a little bit more sane decisions versus the rush of the excitement. So always think, what's the worst that can happen? Like right now, what's the worst that can happen if I was to touch her shoulder? The worst that can happen is she'll be irritated and I'll touch her shoulder. Am I going to do that? No, because I can be petty later.
Don't do that. I know.
And she likes it.
That's
Anywho.
sadistic street.
I just want to quickly say, as far as risk profile goes, like, yes, they came out with the worst that can happen, but also get a good idea about what's your personal risk profile. Like, lie to your doctor, don't lie to the person you're playing with.
Don't lie to your doctor.
Listen to me here. I know every single one of y'all be lying to your doctor about something. Okay? Intentionally or unintentionally, lie to your doctor. Do not lie to the person that you are playing with. Does your knee hurt when you walk up the stairs? Then maybe you shouldn't ask somebody to kneel on the floor for an extended amount of time. Or maybe you should ask somebody for a pillow so that you can kneel on the floor for an extended amount of time.
That sounds kind of
Do you sometimes have chest pains when you're scared? Do you black out and forget to ask for help? Like, these are all things that you need to think about for yourself. Like, what's your personal risk profile? What hurts on your body? What hurts in your mind? What hurts in your spirit? It's the reason why the trauma-informed consensual kink model was becoming a thing, is becoming a thing, because you also need to know, like, what hurts me personally. Like, do I cry when I see confrontation? Do I not like when people talk in an elevated tone to me? Like, these are all things that matter when you're playing with people. So develop your personal risk profile so that you can play safely.
All right. And then lastly, dungeon monitors, DMs,
Or guardians.
or guardians, or honestly the host of whatever event may be occurring. These are also your safety valve. If something goes wrong, if you notice something wrong, go ahead and reach out to them, let them know what's going on. It is their job to know what may or may not be happening, being consensual or non-consensual, because the one thing you don't want to do is interrupt a scene that may be going exactly as planned just because of your own personal ideology. So that's the reason why dungeon monitors exist. That's the reason why you have hosts, so that way they can go and make sure everyone is safe. Because everyone cannot do citizen's arrest, because then you're going to end up looking like a fool, and everyone's going to look at you as a person that's trying to be a hero that was not necessary. Now, and that's not to say that, again, risk profile. What was the worst that could happen if I jump in here right now? I'm interrupting the scene. But if something does not seem consensual, then yes, bring awareness to it, because we all want to go home in one piece, and your brain is a part of that piece.
It just hit me like a ton of bricks that there's a term that we did not have that is super, 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 super important.
You got it. I'm gonna go step some things.
Okay, got it, because your slide's next. The term that I'm talking about is safe words.
Onomatopoeia.
So, is not a good safe word. So, sorry. It's too many syllables. Thank you. It's too many syllables. Safe words are exactly what it sounds like. It is your word to stop a scene immediately. I am no longer safe. I am saying this word. I am doing this gesture. You need both a verbal safe word and a non-verbal gesture. Because if I am too deep in subspace, baby, I can't say red. I definitely can't say onomatopoeia. And I need something that can say, hey, we have to stop this. This is no longer okay. I am no longer safe. Now, I give my lover hell about his safe word because it is not a good beginner safe word. Your safe word needs to be something that is not going to be said regularly. It needs to be something that can be said quickly and clearly and no more than like 2 syllables. Onomatopoeia is not. You're not going to be able to say that. Pineapple is a good one. Caca?
It's fine. That's what you want to do.
No, sir.
That nigga
But hold on, one moment.
And safety gestures.
Safety gestures are important. I don't want to say standard, but the easiest one that I have come across is the stoplight system. Green, because we all know the stoplight. We played red light, green light as a kid. You drive, you walk. You know that red means stop, yellow means slow, and green means go. And so, yes. Okay, I had 2 hands. I had one over here, and I don't know if that was that is my safe gesture for stopping.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is my safe gesture for stopping.
Blinky. I like that.
This is how I keep going.
And now the part that y'all and Sir Keto have been waiting on. It's demo time. But before we get to demo time, I am a lawyer by trade. Here's the disclaimer. Everybody who is sitting on this panel has been trained and has studied this craft for many, many years. We are talking 6, 10 plus years. I'm not telling y'all don't go home and try this. What I am saying, because like everybody gotta start somewhere safe, right? Don't go back to the hotel room and be all like, tonight, we doing night club. No. I saw Sarvito suspend somebody from the ceiling of the hotel room or in the conference room, and we could do it no, you cannot. Also, even the volunteers that we pull from the audience, everything is consensual. So we will ask for consent, and consent talks have been had. Is that clear? Is there any confusion in the room?
Can I volunteer for electric play?
Can I volunteer?
Before we get into the volunteers, I just need to, for my own sanity, if you understand that this is not go home and try this, I need what I used to tell my kids, I need a strong thumbs up. I need to see strong thumbs up. Confused, don't understand. amazing. And now you are in the hands of the very, very capable Sir.
Capable is a good word. All right, ladies and gentlemen. First, Miss Persian. Ain't no damn it. You signed up for this.
Wait, which one don't you want to do, girl? Because you know, I stay ready.
Okay. All right.
I was like, what?
Yes, I will. All right, so the first one I'm going to demo is impact. Now, in regards to impact, many people want these sensations for whatever, God knows, whatever reason. It's between them and their Lord. But it is my job to go ahead and provide the sensations that they seek. Some people just want something soft and sensual. Other people just want me to bring them the pain. My lovely partner here just simply wants me to, not go too heavy, give a little sensation, and she is accepting of certain stronger strikes from me, but not in a consistent basis.
We could demo a quick negotiation.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, and how do you know this? Here,
Years of knowing each other.
yeah. Do the negotiation in the mic so the people can hear.
Let's play strangers.
Yes.
All right, so I hear you're interested in performing a scene with me. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, well, we can just.
Okay, that's
I have a
fine.
big voice.
I do
I just
too.
want to make sure people can
I
hear.
am here. All right.
Hi, I'm Persian.
Hello, Persian. So you said you're interested in a scene with me today?
I am. I noticed some of the things in your table I'm interested in trying.
All right, what are you interested in trying?
I noticed you have some floggers.
Well, you know what flogger is, so you're not a rookie.
No, I'm not. I went to a panel and I learned all about them.
Okay, flogger. Is there anything else that you're interested in experiencing today?
I think that's it for now.
All right, no problem at all. Do you have any injuries that I need to be aware of anywhere in your body?
See, you're not
See,
loud.
he asked if she had been any injuries that he needs to know about on her body.
When you're as big as me, you normally tone down your voice so that way it doesn't get too loud all the time. All right, so do you have any injuries on your body that I should be aware of?
I don't have any injuries, but I do want you to pay attention to the middle of my bag to not put any pressure there.
All right, that's no problem at all. Do you have any safe words that I need to be aware of? Because I do have a preferred method in regards to safety.
I'm okay with the stoplight system.
All right, perfect. So what is red?
Red means stop.
What is green?
Green means go.
Okay, and what is red?
Red means stop.
I just had to make sure you're listening. And what was yellow?
Yellow means I need to check it.
All right, perfect. Now, there may be a situation that you're unable to speak. I prefer these hand signals in regards to the stoplight system as well. Let me know if you're unable to do any of them. For me, a fist is red, flat hand is yellow, thumbs up is green. Now, I can understand that you may be overwhelmed and accidentally go into fist. I don't care. I'm going to stop. I'm going to check in and make sure you're okay. And then we can continue after I confirm that, okay?
Okay.
All right. All right, now, back to what I was describing about impact. Again, there are variations to what can happen. What can...
When the door opens.
See, if they had a longer cord, I could have the mic over here.
Right.
Just go over there. I want
All right, now, when it comes in regards to impact, so you can honestly use anything. Impact, just basically what it means. You are using an instrument or even your hand to strike an individual. So what I'm going to be using are my floggers. I also have additional items. Whether you get them on Etsy, get them at Home Depot. Like I got these, they're known as butt bruises on Etsy. I have a rubber mallet. I got that from Home Depot. And there are various items that you can use for impact. The primary two sensations are known as stingy and thuddy. Thuddy is more like a pressured push, kind of like with a bat, versus a sting, which is kind of like, think of getting hit with a switch if anyone got spanked like that.
We have a question.
We still can't. I need you to get real close, baby.
I think this one might be louder.
Yeah.
I think this one's louder.
We can hear it now. We fix it up.
Okay, can you hear me?
Closer to your mouth.
That's what she said. But yeah, so in regards to the various instruments, there are two primary sensations. One is study, which is like a pressure push, versus stinging, which is if you got hit with a switch back in the day, that sensation is known as stinging, where it's very, very focused, very thin, very wispy on the skin. When it comes to a scene, they can vary in time, they can vary in sensations, they can vary in looks. Honestly, the way I see these scenes is kind of like a sculptor or an artist. They got their brushes and they begin to paint. Now, this won't be a long scene because again, we're here for a fun time, not a long time. So let me go ahead and get started. If you could, go ahead and bend over, hands on the top rail.
Don't, because I love watching Hito work. So I will focus my face over here.
So what I'm using right now is known as a flogger. These are instruments with leather falls at the end. These I got from Firebird Leather. They ain't cheap, that's why I keep them on me at all times. There are various creators you can go ahead and get these from. Just be mindful of what all kind of like materials are they using, because honestly the problem with cheap stuff is, if it's cheap, it's most likely going to like leave a mark on the clothing that you're impacting or on the booty that you're striking. This is a family-friendly event, so get clothes on.
Not this one.
Family friendly, I mean 18.
They won't let us get naked. No, they won't let us.
In regards to the impact, actually use the mic for this one. All right, now if you are interested in getting involved in regards to impact, what you would want to do first is kind of like learn your instrument. I didn't just pick these up and got good at it. I had to actually like practice. I practice on a pillow just to learn like where am I striking, how does it feel. So if you do want to get involved with impact, learn your own strength, learn the materials that you're using, because I am using this to strike somebody, and I need to know how hard I'm hitting them, how much they can handle, and if I don't know how to use the instruments I'm using, I can cause harm.
Practice on yourself too.
If you can, if possible. I use these on myself as regularly as I can, so I know like how am I hitting myself. That's why you saw me earlier like do this, because I haven't vlogged in about 2 weeks.
Oh wow.
What?
I did wax scenes 2 weeks ago.
But yet you brought none for me to play.
And
He's
again,
not your
so
friend.
floggers can vary. The first one was cow suede. This one is bull leather. It is a lot heavier. It's a lot stronger.
Have I tried that one yet?
Maybe third rope.
Yes,
I'm talking to Mike and let them know.
No, that's okay.
No.
Take care of your tools.
Take care of your tools. Now,
That's a tricky bitch.
this one,
That's your favorite friend?
she likes to go with it.
Damn, she's a masochist for real. That's crazy,
It's
dog.
not even that bad. Look, they know me well.
So, this right here is also from Firebird Leather. It's known as a fluffinator. It looks friendly. It is not nice. At the ends of it are weighted ends. Yeah. So,
Didn't I say it was a tricky bitch?
so yes, it's called a fluffinator. This one I also got from Firebird Leather. It is a tricky one because it does feel soft, so I can provide sensations. Again, if there was a bare bottom, there will be like a fuzzy feeling going around before a weighted strike. And like I said, there are various objects you use for impact. This right here could be it's generally known as a fire hose paddle. Typically, they would take the fire hose material, put it in a U shape, and have it bound by a handle. This one right here was made with a velvet rope that you use for like VIP and rooms like that.
Listen here now. Because I see you getting very excited as an exhibitionist and all these people.
What's going on?
Something we have always negotiated is what is your pain level. It's not something we demonstrated just now. I tell everybody I'm a good 6, 7 for a short amount of time.
Yep. And that's why I went to the lighter one.
Sure.
And this is where it comes again, knowing your strength, because she does tell me she is at a good 6. I can kiss a 7, but I can't go back to that 7. Like I gotta own that time where I go to 7, but that's why I gotta know my strength, because I can literally make any of these as painful as possible, but I do not, because that's not the experience that she would want.
I also want to note that my 6'7" might not be somebody else's 6'7". So check-ins throughout the scene to ask like, how does that feel? Are you doing okay? Can you give me a number of where you're at right now? Because you could be getting the lightest touch, but you had a long day, or you've been getting flogged all day, and that light touch, feel like a 6, when normally it would feel like a 3. So you need to check in, and you also need to like be very aware of yourself.
You have one question over here.
I was going to say, can we point out that while you were saying that you can make any of them hurt as much as possible, just as you want to, but maybe for the really complete BDSM people, let them know that all those things don't have to hurt at all.
Yes.
They don't have to be scared of any of them.
You ain't gotta be scared, Chris.
What he said was correct. Like I said, I can use any of these to make them hurt whatever way I want them to, but on the opposite side, I can also make them feel good. So it's not like a default where BDSM is about pain, it's about torture, it's about an experience. You and whoever you're negotiating with determines what that experience will be. Okay. He was just bringing up how I should let it be known that just because I can make all these things very painful, that also means I can do the opposite and make them very pleasurable. So it's just one of those things where, honestly, these are all just paints and paintbrushes. You get to dictate the picture that you're painting. Okay, thank you, Jim. Yes, and now we're on to the next one.
Hey, I need that link. I need that link.
I got that shrine. I don't know if I ever find a link, but
Oh, alright. I know a person.
Okay. Oh, let me do the mic thing again. See, this is where a portable mic would be so good.
You know?
All right, so next up demo, next I'm gonna demo rope.
I'm gonna go ahead and take these off.
Okay. So when it comes to rope, there are 2 primary sensations that that rope provide. One is being bondage. You're trying to bind someone. You're trying to like keep them from moving in what regards, whether tying them to a post or just simply tying them to themselves. Or a feeling of compression. You'll have various body harnesses that give a squeeze, kind of like a consistent hug that someone may enjoy. I personally prefer rope as my form of bondage because when it comes to other forms, be it spreader bars, be it cuffs or the like, rope's more malleable. And because I play with all body types, I have dealt with someone as skinny as a twig and as thick as a snicker. Cuffs are not as comfortable for all body types or even plausible, but with rope, I get to dictate what kind of tension, what kind of tightness that I need to have in order to bind somebody, or even just to simply like have a body tie on. Okay. All right. And get this out the way. If you can stand here.
I can.
Thank you. All right, right now I'm just gonna do a quick demo with a chest harness. The rope I'm using is nylon. They are 2 primary natural ropes that are used, which is jute, 3, jute, hemp, and bamboo rope, which is normally used for suspension play because of the friction that's available within the rope, so that way it doesn't slip. More decorative ties are used with nylon and MFP. They're cheaper to obtain, they're easier to clean. This right here is nylon. And it's not recommended to use nylon for suspension. And suspension is a 401 class. And yeah, we're not gonna talk about suspension. Oh, and rope play with your partner can be a fun experience because it can be a level of sensuality that you may not expect. Because when you're using rope, it's a matter of just the closeness of being on somebody. Because you have to be on their body in order to get this done properly. When doing rope, I always advise having surgeons, surgical scissors. Appreciate you. Because someone that I follow goes by the name of Rory, and one thing that he always says is that you can buy a new rope, you can't buy a new life. So what you'll simply go ahead and do is you'll just have to cut the person free from the rope and you move on. How you feel?
I just want to note that some of the things Hito's paying attention to while he does rope is that, one, that the rope is flat, because if your rope is twisted, it can create uncomfortable sensations in the body. The other thing to look out for when doing rope is that you can fit your fingers in between, especially in the case of emergency, because if your fingers can't get between, neither can scissors. And also because this is a form of restraint. If something is too tight, you might cut off blood flow, and we don't want to do that. When you're developing a risk profile, especially if you want to get into rope, knowing if you clot easily is something important. Knowing if you are scared of tight spaces is important. Some people wouldn't even think about that until you have a rope around you, now you're hyperventilating. Anything else? Risk profile for rope?
You covered that pretty well. Oh, hand up there.
Yeah.
Oh, no, not you.
That was your one issue.
Is there like a specific kind of design you're going for, depending on their body? Or are you just kind of, tying them up in a creative way that you're, just trying to be creative?
Oh,
Oh God.
so when it comes to tying, the thing is it's as far as your imagination and your rope can go. Right now I'm doing a tie that I've learned on the Dutchie, which is the Sinju, which is the chest harness. And so yeah, you can either go paint by numbers or you can freestyle once you learn the basics of tying, be it the half hitch, a hitch, the monster knot. Like there are various things that you can learn, and that way you can just create your own run. I do have a friend based out in Baltimore by the name of Neffy, and
Told you, knows everybody.
I know some people, but she herself, she creates her own art because she already knows the basics, so she doesn't have to go to a shibaristudy.com or the Dutchie in order to learn certain things, because once you have the basics, you are free to explore on your own. Hey. It worked.
I'm not really bad at this. Not I'm trying.
Feel free to throw questions at Persians as I finish this.
Wow.
Oh, question over here.
Yep.
So I have a question. Is there, say like if you're starting a relationship with someone, but where it's like where one person has been with the BDSM community and
Why are you asking how to corrupt your partner?
No, not okay, fine, but no.
How to corrupt or how to be corrupted? Which one are we doing?
How to corrupt. If you want to use that language, yes, there we go.
How do we bring someone to the dark side?
Yes.
Tell them we have cookies.
My thing is always open and honest communication so I can tell you what I'm into. And then you can tell me if you too would be into that. I happen to also be E&M, and so if you're not into it, you don't have to be. You just can't be mad or stop me from getting these sensations from anywhere. However, once you get to like know your partner and have those conversations, you can start with small things. Running your nails down someone's back is sensational. So you can be like, hey, can I try this sensation? Do you trust me to try this sensation? And then you can build from there. I'm, again, 1000% on open and honest communication. And so if I'm already into this, then are you into this? But you also have to respect their no. So like I'm into sissification and CBT. My partner is not into sissification nor CBT.
Oh man. Real
What
man.
do those words mean?
Sissification is when you take a male presenting person and they then become a female presenting person and leaning into a more feminine movement and presentation. CBT is short for cock ball torture.
Oh, yeah.
So there are some nice men out there that love to feel different pressure points and pain points in that area. And when you combine it with a foot fetish, and they love to see like, because then the heel curl, it's a thing. But so when we started, he was like, well, what are you into? And I was like, I'm pro-dom. I like kicking white men in their nuts. And he's like, I don't want that. I have to respect that.
Okay, well, your time is done.
Really good.
Thank you, Hito. Now I don't have to do it for another.
Okay. Can't see the doc because there's like a couple more before they kick us out. Oh, hand up. Oh,
Sure.
feel free to walk around. A little extra. And typically when there's extra rope, you can do something with it. Typically I could have just simply weaved it around the 5 points in the back, but weaving just takes a long time. Like the rope is.
Oh, so we can talk to headboards off here. Cool, but I can do that.
Yeah, it's just a simple shinju, which is a chest harness. Huh? No, it's good. Yeah. So yeah, it's just a basic chest harness. This can be used for suspension, but again, find someone with knowledge in suspension and learn from them because certain ties don't translate well to be hung up in the air. What happened? I guess we can do a quick rep play.
I have a question.
Yes.
How do you use the Home Depot rubber mallet?
Oh. It is very valuable. Let me just get the mic. Alright, so the question was, how do I use the rubber mallet? I primarily use the rubber mallet for two forms of play. One is more in the sense of scaring. I can easily twist mind fuck someone in regards to the mallet because it is a full-on rubber mallet, so I can bang around them while they're blindfolded or something to that nature. In practical impact use, I just use it for general impact. It's completely thuddy. I'm not trying to go full Wallem, like I'm not going full backhand, like it's not over that. So like I can control my strength. It gives a nice little rhythm. If anything, for most people, it feels like a nice like massage. Okay.
Electro, I heard, yeah. Oh, I love sensations, dog. I'm here for the feels. Yes, I am a sensation whore. Ash, I'm both
Wait,
sides.
hold on, we had a question.
Is there anything besides like bandages and alcohol pads you recommend to have in a first aid kit?
Honestly, I would say bring whatever safety things you can provide. I'm just saying at the bare minimum.
Oh no, I get it.
Yeah,
That's what I was
so
asking.
I would say,
Kind of different.
I would say involve it with the play you're doing. If you're doing a play that can involve some kind of cutting, I would advise bringing like extra large gauze as well as the tape for that.
Okay.
Hold on, because I actually, if you buy a Johnson & Johnson first aid kit, it will come with bandages, gauze, tape, scissors, alcohol, antiseptic wipes. Like, go get a first aid kit.
Yep. Oh no, and then I was just also saying, if you need to, go ahead and get tailor the first aid kit to your version of play. So if I'm dealing with primarily impact, get your line of ice packs because someone might end up bruising, and you want to go ahead and use the ice packs for that kind of thing. If you're doing sensory deprivation that involves some level of knife play or some sharp object, get you some more like gauze and tape because you might end up cutting something that you don't need to cut. So kind of like alter your first aid kit, but always try to at least have a bare minimum like first aid kit.
Were these demos open to audience participation?
Yes. All right. Before we go to breath play, I'm gonna let the ladies decide who will come up. All right, let's do impact. Oh no, breath play. Let's not scare people.
Oh, I thought that we were talking about participation.
You have a question?
Who wants to participate?
You want to participate?
Volunteer, yeah, we were volunteers here.
Oh, he wants to make his
You want to make
announcement.
yeah.
He's been waiting so patient.
We're dragging it. I understand people have to leave, so.
Yeah, I'm really tired. But good evening, everyone. Before I go, can we give an awesome round of applause for our panel so far? So mine is solo. I sing things on her. So on top, I like being on her. So I've been in lifestyle for 9 years now. And I'm part of this group called Black and Kink DC. We are the largest POC group here in the DMV area. That caters to BDSM. So we talked about events that you actually go to. So we have an event coming in 2 weeks on July 26th here in DC. If you guys are interested, we'd love to have you guys come out. Please follow us. Our IG handle is Black and Kinky DC. Again, that's Black and Kinky DC. You also follow us on FetLife. If you have a FetLife account, Black and Kinky in DC. Also, I'm on FetLife. Roar on her. That's my handle. So feel free to follow me on FetLife. Yeah, we'd love to have you guys come out. Again, we cater to you guys, to people of color. You do not have to be an expert. You do not have to play. You can just come and you can watch and be a warrior. Learn, you can have conversations, meet people, and you can just really expand your understanding of what this lifestyle is so that you can be more informed. So again, I just want to make that quick announcement for you guys who are seeking a space for you to learn and grow within this community. So just putting it out there again, Black and Kink in DC. Our next event is on July 26th here in Washington, DC. So, also, the theme for this month's event is actually aligned with what we're doing here at BlerDCon. So we have a cosplay theme, so please feel free to come through. We would love to have you guys show up and show out and have a good time. So again, Black and Kinky DC on Instagram. Again, my name is On Her. Great to meet you guys. Have a great evening.
All right. Okay, so why don't we have participation?
Audience participation for impact, audience participation.
Everybody.
Okay, we can do, I say, let's do 3 volunteers for that.
3 volunteers for impact.
Somebody from over there.
So we got Wolfie.
Somebody.
I was,
Go ahead. Go ahead. I do not discriminate. Whenever I'm
Come on, Dan.
No, ma'am.
There we go. 1, 2, and 3. All right. So we got our participants.
Oh, I should have took the sweater off because what I didn't appreciate, like what I didn't anticipate, is that it's holding the sweater to me. And now I'm hot, but I don't want the rope on. This is such a conundrum.
It's your way to meet.
Because I know he's not going to stop this to do it. On my rock. I'm gonna go ahead and put this last slide. So while we have people volunteering, here is how you can find us outside of this time. You can also, I'm here all weekend, so if you just, yell key, got key, I'll probably turn around. Also, Persian and Keto host a podcast called the Big Letter, Little Letter Podcast. It's awesome.
What's it called?
Big Letter, Little Letter Podcast. It is on all your streaming apparatus. It's not on what?
I don't think it's on NPR.
I don't, well, that's because NPR is actually like a news source.
Is this news?
It can't.
Exploring on your own is one of the best things you can do when you're getting into BDSM, especially as a submissive. Especially since submissives spend more time trying to figure out their identity in kink than anybody else does. And you can basically figure that out by seeing what feels good to you. So like, we talked about pet play, and how like people find their animal by leaning into their instincts. So like I identify as a kitten, but that's because I like to cuddle, I like to scratch, I get a little primal, I like to bite. And then I have her to identify as a bunny. She likes to run around, she's very nosy, she's very excited. So if you start thinking about like what feels good to me, it's easier to identify where your kinks and your identity lies. And you can do things on your own, especially for a little, like you can buy yourself a coloring book, some stickers, and make your meditation time, coloring, putting on a Disney movie. In submission, there's a lot of things that you can do. You can dom yourself, which is like a good thing to do. Because I personally feel like before you can find a dom that can help you out, you need to be able to do those things yourself. So like, don't be like, I'm really struggling to like be healthy or like get my work done. I need a dom to someone to. Figure out how to do yourself. What routines can you put in place for yourself to get your goals accomplished. And that's how you tell yourself. And then the same thing for anything else. We, in my group, we have like positions, submission positions, if you want to look those up. It's kind of like kinky yoga. They offer a good space for you to meditate. So, they have positions that you can just hold and you can spend time thinking like, what does this mean for me to hold this position? How am I feeling right now? How does my body feel? And if I was doing this position for someone, what kind of person would I be offering my submission to? I think it's good to have soul submission time so you play with people that really align with you.
You're very determined.
Something else that I want to emphasize, we may have fallen into very gender-specific terms when we were describing but something, hey guys, really quickly, I know you're excited. We may have fallen into gender-specific terms and we were describing Kink just because of how we show up in the space. But I also want to emphasize that when you're getting into BDSM and Kink, like the experience is yours and you can create it any way you want to. So there are no gender-specific things that need to happen when you decide to take on a role, whether you want to be a top or bottom, whether you want to be a little or anything like that. It's very queer-friendly. And I find that a lot of middles are queer. Because, yeah, I'm calling out because, no. BDSM is your time to explore who you are, what you want to be, how you want to show up in this world. Okay. Anyway, the whole point of that was you do not have to follow society gender norms when you get into BDSM and Kink. Like, make it yours. Don't feel like you have to do something you don't want to do. Yeah. You came in late. I'm sorry. A middle is really obnoxious, but I'm kidding. Sorry. Age play. No, I'm over here. I'm sorry.
You are over here
I'm
attacking
joking.
people.
Just doing weight. I'm sorry. A middle, I'm 3 and I have a good time. A middle is somebody who identifies as like a preteen or a teen. They often are with a caregiver or not. I find that a lot of middles are people who want to explore like their identity or like true independent, like beginning independence. Like you want to feel like you can do anything, but you also want somebody to watch what you're doing. And then like littles are like little babies, like 3-4 years old. I can't do anything. Need a lot of help.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've injured here, so everyone else is okay.
Do you see like any
I'm gonna aim for
online
here,
bullying for the
and
age
then
play?
lower area. So I'll avoid
Age play is like kind of tricky, especially on the internet, because it's not bullying per se, but more of misinformation about what age play looks like and the connection to pedophilia. And this is why we discuss like consent so strongly, because there are people who are engaging in age play as a means of like coming back to self, exploring their inner child. And it's just a space for them to like be safe in that with somebody. And then there are also age players who do engage in sexual activity, but those are choices that people make. But the most important thing is that we are consenting adults, and we get to decide how we show up, how we play, and all of that. So it's important that you stay true to self and don't go on the internet. Don't let them judge you, okay?
All right. Because I know I've taken up a lot of y'all time, but we're the last panel, so they don't really care. So I can demo one more, and then I guess we can wrap up. Oh.
Oh, wait,
Oh, no.
did you have a question?
Oh no, I'm about to do a different demo.
He's gonna demo another thing.
Oh, yeah, I'm doing a different demo. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it's on you again?
Yeah.
Breath play.
Oh, breastplate? Yes, it is. You love that.
It's my bag.
All right.
So y'all remember when I said don't go home and try this? Breath play is one of those that you're not gonna go home and try, okay?
Okay.
Okay, now, asphyxiation play, breath play, all regards is cutting off breath and circulation to the brain. Primary goal of the play, the reason is, it puts the brain in this fight or flight mode. So once released, there is a rush of pleasure, especially when doing something else. Though some people can get highly aroused from the asphyxiation alone. Now, if you've ever been in the bedroom and you had someone choke you, or you had someone to do the choking, that in regards to breath play, more times than not, people are not doing it right because some people actually think you're supposed to mess with the windpipe. Well, no, you're not supposed to put any pressure there because if you break that motherfucker, it hurts. So I'm going to go ahead and show you various aspects of breath play. All right. So the first one I'm going to show in regards to, essentially, it's a blood choke. You're cutting off blood flow with the arteries on the sides of the neck. And honestly, the person should still be able to breathe fine unless you add more pressure than needed. But still, they're going to feel a bit lightheaded because, again, you're slowing down the blood flow to the brain.
Can you do me a favor? Just me. Can you point out where exactly your hand placement is?
No, that's good.
Should I take this out?
Yeah.
Because although I told people don't go home and do this,
Somebody can go home and do it.
Somebody's gonna be done.
I know y'all hard-headed. I taught for 10 years. I know y'all hard-headed.
Okay, so the easiest way to go about this method is go ahead and get your hand in kind of like that L shape between the thumb and the pointer.
Do it to yourself.
Yeah, if you want to feel it, you can go ahead and do it to yourself. Don't choke yourself out, though you won't be able to. But, so, you're going to use this cusp here in order to go around the throat here. You're aiming for the artery around here and here. But recognize that all bodies are different, so it may be placed differently. So be sure to listen to your partner if something's going wrong. In this regard, it's right here. You don't even have to put too much pressure for it to take effect. Just the lightest of squeeze and it will already take effect. She should still be able to breathe fine. You can get oxygen to the lungs. The problem is getting that oxygen to the brain. How long you hold it, honestly, if you're a beginner, 5 seconds, 10 seconds quit. If you have developed trusted communication, I can hold, and on one hand, she will tap me when she's ready. On the other hand, I still need to be aware and just stop myself. Like, I don't have, because she might not be even in a position to respond and say, stop it. Don't want her to say that. Okay, so that's one variation. That can be done while doing other aspects of play. Orgasm control, sensory deprivation. sensory deprivation, and other various forms of play, bondage, etc., you can incorporate some level of breath play. Now, this version of breath play I learned from Master Lola Smiles. She is a great teacher, by the way. She taught me the trick of using a turkey bag.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's what we
What are we about to do?
Notice he said he learned this from Master Lola in a class, not a panel at BlerDCon. Do not go back to y'all's home.
We are not trying this at all.
Do not.
If someone comes around and said, hey, he told me to do this, I'm gonna be like, I don't know who this person is. Now, this version I was learned because there will be some people that have the fear of blah. So,
If you're claustrophobic.
if you're claustrophobic,
This is when that risk assessment comes in again.
there we go. Now, the reason why she advised the turkey bag, can we see how big turkeys are? See how big this bag is? Now, her version of play, what made it so useful and unique, is that I don't have to do a version where I'm strangling her or like smothering her. Just get all this air in here. Are you ready? And that's it. So what happens here is, as she continues to breathe, as she continues to exist in this bag, the oxygen will eventually be gone, and then less oxygen comes in versus what the oxide that she's breathing out. And then that's where the breath play comes in. So, and again, I say I'm a bit of a sadist. Master Lola, she that's a sadist. Like, she'll purposely be like, oh, just talking to them.
Sorry.
She will like purposely like talk to them. They're not realizing they're using up the oxygen they have available. And eventually it'll just be more carbon dioxide, and then you go ahead and just release it. And that's where she'll go ahead and get back that oxygen, the rush, and everything. Because again, one of the deadliest silent killers is like carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide poisoning, because you don't even realize it until you're all of a sudden just feeling lightheaded. So that's just one aspect. If you do want to go mafia style, make sure y'all trust each other and talk, and then yeah, sure you can go blah blah blah, but
Do not go mafia style. Do not do this.
But make sure, don't do this with nobody. Make sure you do it with someone you trust. I've known her 5 years now, 4 or 5 years now, yeah. And we've played before, we've communicated, we know. She will be able to tell if I'm off and will cut something off. So yeah, so that's the aspect of breath play. So do remember, you're not trying to crush someone's neck whenever you're trying to breath play. Focus on the two veins on the side. If you, when in doubt, just remember, have your hands like this. Yes, I have big paws, but generally it's typically just right here. So you don't even need the biggest hands to get it. B is for victory.
That's how I learned it.
Oh, there you go. And so that's the aspect of breath play. Do it responsibly. Your eyes are mine. What? The other two aspects I had, but it's like late, I don't know what time it is. There's electro play. Honestly, it's just
Electro play, right?
with current.
Please, please, please. I'm not, please call this man for electro play.
What time is it?
I don't
It's
hate.
one.
It's one?
It's like 12:57.
Okay, do this real quick.
No, it's 102.
This is 102.
Do we have a plug over there?
We don't even have a plug.
We have a plug? It's okay. I know where he at. I'll find it. It's all
Thank you.
right.
I was like, but we know
Over
he
here.
What's this?
All right, over here.
Please, God.
Yes, he wants to do it.
No, freaking Jeremy is coming up here.
Hey.
Oh, you
So
want
while you set that up,
You do that.
something else I wanted to note about breath play is that a lot of people like to engage in it during sex, which is probably not the best time for you to do it because you don't realize how much control you lose when you're engaging in sex, especially when you're right in the height of orgasm. You don't want to be on top of somebody trying to choke them out, and now you're coming because you're putting your body weight on your hand. And now we're in dangerous territory of like being on that trachea. So I wouldn't play those types of games until you're well experienced. And then the other thing was for safety again with the oven bag. You'll notice that like he didn't close it or he didn't hold it or anything. And then that's also one of the things you want to make sure you have scissors for. Nobody wants an accidental asphyxiation murder. Now you want a different kind of show. So like keep scissors near you, especially if when you get into Kink 501 and you start playing around with bags, so you can cut people out quickly. That is Kink 501 PhD.
No waterboarding.
We're not talking that right now.
We're not doing waterboarding. We're not doing fire play.
We're not doing torture.
Blood play.
We're not doing
Blood play.
Blood play.
none of that.
101.
The brand that you said you got the vlogger brand.
Firebird leather.
Firebird.
But if you live in the DMV, there's a company that does it here. It's a locally owned one.
Yeah, I have Eli, Naked Trumpeter.
Fruits and leather?
Yeah, it's a queer-owned business. Fruits and Leather. It's on Instagram. I can show it to you. They're here in the DMV area, and they do sell floggers. They sell paddles. They also sell cute little bears for the littles, and they get little level harnesses on them, and they're great for your dom to give them to you for Valentine's Day, or you could give to a dom if they like them, because doms like to be littles too.
They do.
They like cute stuff.
The Naked Trumpeter also is here.
Fruits and leather.
Fruits and Leather.
The Naked Trumpeter is here?
Yeah, live in DC.
I thought you meant
Eli.
here.
Yes.
As in
Oh,
BlerDCon.
that would be
No.
lit.
Eli is not, because Eli had to go to New York, but Eli wanted to be here.
No,
They get so upset.
I thought Eli went to Houston.
I mean,
Focus.
Houston.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Eli went to
Houston.
They was in New York before they
People don't even know what you're talking about.
I'm sorry.
What up?
Eli the Naked Trumpeter.
They are the ones who stayed at the panel 35 minutes after it's over.
All right, now, because by popular demand by my favorite goddess, Brad. So, I want to give a quick information about electroplay. This does go into 201 territory, but it can be 101. All right, with electroplay, all you have essentially is a conduit that provides the current, and it's essentially just sensation play. That's what it primarily is. For some people, the electricity can be painful. For others, it can be a nice little tickle. You can use it in various aspects, whether it be dancing across the skin or other aspects of play. This right here is essentially a glass tube that traverses the current to the tip, and then I can use it to dance along the body. It's advisory to avoid metal, so if you have piercings, like you don't want to touch that metal piercing because it will go crackle. You also want to avoid wet spots, because again, electricity. When playing with someone, you want to confirm whether they have some type of internal mechanism like a pacemaker or any other electronic device within that can be interfered with this kind of play. And also you just want to make sure you double check your equipment, make sure everything's insulated, make sure there are no like exposed or loose wires, and also be mindful of whatever you're using as an attachment. For me, I do have the glass tubes. I also do have electric floggers where they can travel the current on the rubber ends of the flogger. And I also have one thing known as a tripper, where it's just literally a metal slab that I can put on my body or the body of someone else. And what will happen is their body becomes the conduit where you touch on them, or they touch, or I touch someone with it on me, and I'm trapped. I'm providing the electricity. So I will go ahead and provide a quick demo. I will need someone.
You already have somebody, man.
Just to talk him up here so that we can.
Okay.
Come on now.
Jen, can you bring that chair over here?
The puddle hosher himself.
Oh, thank you, lover.
not recommended for somebody.
No. You gotta.
Oh, I got. Oh shit.
I mean, like, where is he gonna do the electroplate?
I need you to roll the sleeves.
Right. I was like, you gotta disrobe, bro.
Oh. We can just have it.
And this is why the switch is like.
Oh yeah, he kept saying he was like electric. But I was like, do you want to do it?
This why the switch is lit.
So he was like, both.
Okay.
Literally.
Best part.
I might not recommend this to other people with case.
That's okay. So when
And
we
so
went,
people touched me and they got electrocuted.
when we went to King's and Drinks, that's what the girl did. And that's
Yeah, so Nephew like put the bar on me, so then I was like
Yes,
a electrical
highest
cure, and I was on the highest, so I'm a very Oh, you're a freaking masochist.
Don't be like that.
Oh, you're not a masochist at all? Oh. Your people, why are all the non-masochists want to make masochism things? Y'all are so cute.
he likes the tingle of the electric.
Sorry that the.
So him putting that in the windows around, he should just kept it there.
No, it just him trying to church up so I'm like, whoa, what you there for that?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, the feedback. No, you're good.
So right now, he is literally anyone that touches him won't feel a shock.
Does he have everything in his bag? This is why I don't understand.
Alright, that's right there.
Every time.
Oh.
That jump.
No, mine was because I'm stupid. And it got to the point that one of my friends says,
Oh, okay.
Oh shit.
Whoa!
Not
It
you.
was not my fault.
Electro.
Shook your hair, cut you a little bit.
the person I was playing with had a whole body contact. And I was
So,
being a little kid.
I got a question. About how many amps you think is putting out on that? How much power is on
I would have to double check because for the body chipper, I put on the lowest level still film.
Oh yeah.
So I believe it.
Exactly what I'm about to do. Sorry.
Look, I work in the trades. I've taken 240 straight for him.
So electricity shot between my
I gotta double check that.
Oh my god. How dare they?
That don't kind of like tickle
It kind of took me when first looking up, it was like way high.
You don't make the muscles tense up enough.
And he had to go. It did. We have a friend that he's a massage therapist, and he give me.
I don't think that was electro. That was honestly it's really about sensation. Mess around with other metals or see what it is.
This shit like freeze up.
Yeah, I think
It
it's
feels
really
really
good. Do you have any more questions?
It did.
I've been hit with some power before, just working and shit. That shit got me tense up a couple times.
I have not. No, I have not.
So you've seen it though? Alright, good.
All right, any other questions?
Somebody had a question over here.
I did.
Yes.
How do you road maintenance?
How does it look?
Road maintenance.
Oh, rope maintenance. So when it comes to nylon and MFP, honestly, they take a beating. You can throw them in the wash. Like what I do is I use like a laundry sack, tie them in there, throw them in the washer, dry them, good to go. Now for natural rope, a little bit more tricky. You gotta make sure the rope is treated. So if you just got the raw rope, you gotta go ahead and get your beeswax, get everything to treat it, and so that way it can be sustainable. To clean those, I primarily use like I just use disinfectant sprays in order to get those clean. If there's like a significant stain, I honestly throw it away if I can't clean it. Because even though it is completely safe, aesthetics is important. If someone sees it like, oh, what's that? They're not gonna want, like, I just simply either throw it away or find another purpose for it. All right, anyone else? All right, cool. Oh, yep.
That's a loaded question.
Yeah, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and use all of my powers to answer that question responsibly. All right, so if you have no other method or means to connect with community, FetLife is an amazing resource. If you have no other means, because again, I got started in this because a friend pointed me towards FetLife, and for all its ills, there are some benefits being a sit-head man. That means you don't get bothered by a lot of people, so you get to explore peacefully. But you come in as gay, as queer, as femme as possible, you will get unsolicited attention from random people that don't understand the difference between a back page and a FetLife. So, that's what I would say. If you have no other means, you don't know no friends, you don't know anybody that can guide you into like certain events, great resource because you will actually see events. They'll give the descriptions. You can begin to sort of weed out who to actually look at, who not to look at. The thing is, it's just that FetLife takes time to curate, so it'll be a proper space for you. But off the rip, it is shit.
When using FetLife, that vetting piece we talked about, that's going to be a major thing. So it's a wealth of information. All of it is not safe. All of it is not legit. Everybody on FetLife is not your friend. 85% of the dominants on FetLife could not spell consent if I gave them the letters. So having those conversations. So we're all in different organizations, and one of the, like, we have a munch in Houston Urban Kingston is Houston's Black Munch, and we have a FetLife page. But if somebody messages us and they ask us a question about our event, we can answer that question, right? And we get questions about events all the time. So if you are looking at FetLife and you're looking at an event and you're unsure about it, message the organizers. If they can't answer your question, don't go. And that's like the golden rule to me of FetLife is you gotta question everything and everyone. Because if you are a femme presenting person, you will get, like, you can have no words in your FetLife and a picture of a boob, and you will get 10 inboxes. You could be an organization that has pictures of boobs, and you will get 10 inboxes from creepy guys. Hey, beautiful. You want to be my uniform? It's like, it's a team. We say it's a team of 5 on the page. You don't read. That is my answer about FetLife.
But again, because people like us are on there, that's why I won't say it will be forever nothing.
Right. No, it's not forever nothing, but it is. But if somebody messaged you and said, hey, Servito.
Oh, don't worry, I have. And the gentleman was not cute.
I meant for questioning.
Oh.
Like they ask you a question.
Oh, I answer questions.
Right. Because.
But no, the gentleman in New York, he was like, hey, you look sexy. And I'm like, sorry, sir, I appreciate the compliment. And then it was like, how much for a thing? I'm like, I did question it, but then I blocked him.
Of course, the money almost got them. Not going to lie, that is literally how I entered this group. Okay.
Oh, did you take a Mr. $10,000?
No, I did not take a Mr.
I'm sorry, right?
I got on FetLife because a friend pointed me.
Yeah, right?
Let's go.
Say anything you want.
I'm straight, but my dick is already everywhere. So.
I know, right? A long way.
Because someone was like, how much for a dick pic? I'm like, I paused because I'm like, my dick is already on here. But I was like, no, I just walked in. That's like, you already got it for free. Now I'm wondering, what are you after?
They got me too.
Like, I'm straight with my bank account.
Y'all finished with our panel? You can close it out?
Are we done? We're done with the demos?
Yeah.
Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for staying this late. If there are no more questions, all of our information is up here.